toppunt van ironie. Op een uur tijd zie ik die man van de linkerkant van de kerktoren naar de rechterkant komen. Ik zit hier in Duffel. Je hebt hier een hele schone afbeelding van een bal staan. Dat lijkt inderdaad ook een balkje daar in de verte. En is ook vrij doorzichtbaar. Als de focus mee wilt werken. Die maan is translucent. Ja. Nu, als we op een bal zouden leven, wat ze ons heel ons leven al wijs maken, hè, dus die bal, hè, hoe kan dat dan? Dat ginder in de verte de zon is, nog geen kwartslag daarvan, ginder in de verte. Ik heb terug zien, want ik ben een beetje verblind door die zon. Ah, daar. De maan kan zien. En je gaat even naar de bal refereren. Wie heeft dan in godsnaam, als we op een bal zouden leven, in China het licht uitgedaan? Denk daar maar eens over na, voordat je je eigen laat misleiden. Wij leven op een creatie, de platte aarde. En daarmee is alles gezegd.
But more broadly, we've got to move beyond partisan politics on this issue. I want to be clear. I am willing to work with anybody. Republicans, Democrats, Independents, Libertarians, Greens, anybody to combat this threat on behalf of our kids. I'm open to all sorts of new ideas, maybe better ideas, to make sure that we deal with climate change in a way that promotes jobs and growth. Nobody has a monopoly on what is a very hard problem, but I don't have much patience for anyone who denies that this challenge is real. We don't have time for a meeting of the Flat Earth Society. Sticking your head in the sand might make you feel safer, but it's not going to protect you from the coming storm. And ultimately, we will be judged as a people and as a society and as a country on where we go from here. Our founders believed that those of us in positions of power are elected not just to serve as custodians of the present, but as caretakers of the future. And they charged us to make decisions with an eye on a longer horizon than the arc of our own political careers. That's what the American people expect. That's what they deserve. And someday our children and our children's children will look at us in the eye and they'll ask us, did we do all that we could when we had the chance to deal with this problem and leave them a cleaner, safer, more stable world? And I want to be able to say, yes, we did. Don't you want that? Americans are not a people who look backwards. We're a people who look forward. We're not a people who fear what the future holds. We shape it. What we need in this fight are citizens who will stand up and speak up and compel us to do what this moment demands. Understand, this is not just a job for politicians. So I'm going to need all of you to educate your classmates, your colleagues, your parents, your friends. Tell them what's at stake. Speak up at town halls, church groups, PTA meetings. Push back on misinformation. Speak up for the facts. Broaden the circle of those who are willing to stand up for our future. Convince those in power to reduce our carbon pollution. Push your own communities to adopt smarter practices. Invest, divest. Remind folks there's no contradiction between a sound environment and strong economic growth. And remind everyone who represents you at every level of government that sheltering future generations against the ravages of climate change is a prerequisite for your vote. Make yourself heard on this issue. I understand the politics will be tough. The challenge we must accept will not reward us with a clear moment of victory. There's no gathering army to defeat. There's no peace treaty to sign. When President Kennedy said we'd go to the moon within the decade, we knew we'd build a spaceship and we'd meet the goal. Our progress here will be measured differently. In crises averted, in a planet preserved. But can we imagine a more worthy goal? For while we may not live to see the full realization of our ambition, we will have the satisfaction of knowing that the world we leave to our children will be better off for what we did. It makes you realize, that astronaut said all those years ago, just what you have back there on Earth. And that image in the photograph, that bright blue ball rising over the moon's surface, containing everything we hold dear, the laughter of children, a quiet sunset, all the hopes and dreams of posterity, that's what's at stake. That's what we're fighting for. And if we remember that, I'm absolutely sure we'll succeed. So thank you. God bless you. God bless the United States of America.
So,
are you kidding?
Thank you for your time. Have a good flight and many more exciting experiments on the orbit. Thanks a lot.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the event.
This right here, this little glitch that appears at the end, has added fuel to the fire behind a theory that has been going on for years, which is that the International Space Station is not real, and that what we're actually seeing here during these live feeds that are supposedly being filmed from inside the space station and the astronauts are talking are nothing more than the astronauts standing in front of a green screen, either standing or suspended by wires to mimic that of free floating in space.
Motion blur in front of your green screen can really be a problem, simply because wherever you have motion blur, the object or your actor are basically being blurred together with the green of the background, which means your chroma key won't be able to tell the difference.
Looks CGI to me.
From all of the evidence I've shown you on this channel, from the moon missions where they were captured faking certain pieces of footage, space station footage can and has been faked.
Look into it.
Now, there's a lot of videos on YouTube where you can watch other clips taken during these ISS missions, some of which show what appear to be wires.
You can see on the back of his shirt a couple of upticks on either side where you would expect wires to come in on either side of that harness.
Come on, that's ridiculous.
No, but
that's why I don't trust the government.
They're often portraying that this is live.
Are you kidding?
Of course, these things are fully choreographed and edited in advance to make sure that there's nothing too obvious that you can see that gives away that this is a suspension in front of a blue screen hoax.
I mean, it's organized. They did doctor up photos and stuff for the public, and they did use some of the Hollywood people.
You can find videos online which have proven that the space station footage put out by China was indeed faked. It was not filmed in space, but rather a massive underground swimming pool, likely with a green screen in the background, showing a digital Earth put into the background. And in fact, I'll show you a clip from that here, where you can actually, during certain points, see bubbles floating up, around, flying left and right, along with some issues with this fake digital Earth in the background, accelerating in its rotation and then slowing down.
In 2013, a gallon of water leaked into one of their spacesuits in a matter of seconds. NASA doesn't really have a proper explanation for how on earth this could have happened.
Are you kidding?
It's so over the top that you just feel alone and have a normalcy bias like Stockholm Syndrome, where you go, I'm all alone. This lie's ridiculous. Why is everyone going along with it? I better go along with it, because who does that say I am? And that's what we're getting down to here. Is that it's all to make you feel small. And I'm not saying be on some power trip.
When the Russians beat us into space, we didn't deny Sputnik was up there. We didn't argue about the science or shrink our research and development budget. We built a space program almost overnight, and 12 years later, we were walking on the moon.
The moon landings, are you kidding?
Ignition. Burn away, Houston. Vector good. Coart.
By the way, there's a small problem with going to the moon, and inch by inch, NASA is leaking out that they know that there's a problem there. It's called the Van Allen belts, high radiation belts of charged particles around Earth, and we don't know how to get through them, they say. Well, isn't that interesting, because there sure didn't seem to be a problem back in 1969.
The moon landing stopped in 1972 and we haven't been back. We haven't been beyond the Van Allen belts.
The most lethal forms of radiation, of course, are at the higher end of the spectrum. That's gamma rays and X-rays. We know what ultraviolet can do. If you stay out too long in the sun, you get sunburn and skin cancer and die, and it's all very sad. But gamma rays, and X-rays especially, are particularly lethal to humans, unprotected humans. There was no protection that I have been able to identify. I've found no reference to it. I found nothing that will tell me what level of protection is offered, so I have to assume none was. I've contacted the manufacturers of the spacesuits, and they said there was no radiation protection built into the spacesuits, because I asked them if these same spacesuits could be used by technicians to go into Chernobyl or 3 Mile Island, because the nuclear reactors produce the same radiation as produced in space. They said no, not advisable, no protection.
I mean, I never even cared, but now it's all a complete illusion. It's all a joke. The highest level, the media would freak out if they even knew. I don't even care about that anymore. I just care about results with humanity.
Is what we're seeing a mixture of fact and fiction?
It is fact. It is fiction. It's mixed together. It's hard to separate them until you examine it closely.
I could be wrong. It could be real.
There's too many things
it could be real, but they've been faking them so much they look like all those other things.
There's weird evidence.
Nobody went. The damn thing's not even that far away.
Are you kidding?
We only can fly in Earth orbit. That's the farthest that we can go. And this new system that we're building is going to allow us to go beyond and hopefully take humans into the solar system to explore. So the moon, Mars, asteroids, there's a lot of destinations that we could go to, and we're building these building block components in order to allow us to do that eventually.
Are you kidding?
I'd go to the moon in a nanosecond. The problem is we don't have the technology to do that anymore. We used to, but we destroyed that technology, and it's a painful process to build it back again.
Are you kidding?
There were very few vibrations of any sort. There's a picture of the INSAT actually being deployed from the spacecraft.
Right from Irish television, coordinates for the landing that go down to something like 5 decimal points. I just wanted to confirm with you that those that you do have them. Have those sort of coordinates, and am I reading those coordinates correctly when I see that it looks as though you've landed within 500 meters of the skirt around the mountain? That, I mean, you're really very close to the mountain at the closer end in the landing ellipse, and possibly within striking distance of the phyllosilicate trench.
I can't confirm that. My estimate, I'm looking for somebody. Yes, there's somebody in the audience here who has that in the tip of their noggin. We should have soon that estimate.
That's not what's going on.
Commander Whitson making history with her record for any American. By the time she lands in September, her tally will be 666 days in space.
At the time of the Apollo 11 mission, Buzz Aldrin was a 32-degree Freemason. They were in good company, as many of NASA's astronauts were also Freemasons.
One of the ways we promote ourselves among Masons, a reason to join, is we consider ourselves the University of Freemasonry. And the real emphasis in the Scottish Rite is on receiving more light, learning more about the history of our world.
We always indulge in a few pagan rites to appease the EVA gods. These little ceremonies are very, very important to ensure mission success if you do them right.
It's a real ritual.
An interesting photograph hangs on the wall of the Sanctuary of the Scottish Rite Masons in Washington, D.C. This photograph shows astronaut Neil Armstrong holding a Masonic apron over his spacesuit. The photograph has seemingly been taken on the moon, or at least on a studio set which resembles the surface of the moon. Upon his return from the moon, Brother Buzz Aldrin presented a flag to Sovereign Grand Commander Smith, who was the Supreme Commander of the Supreme Council of 33rd degree Masons of the world.
You're getting what's really going on here. They want to take all this and distort it out and all the rest of it.
Now, a lot of the astronauts were Masons, and that includes some today. We've had at least one or two of shuttle pilots who were as well. But these were all flags that were carried either to the moon or into space.
The short Masonic ritual Armstrong and Aldrin allegedly performed declared the celestial body of the moon to be the property of the Masonic God. Who is the Masonic God? As confirmed by former Supreme Commander of the 33rd degree and Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan, Albert Pike, the Masonic God is Lucifer.
Are you kidding? With the Earth supposedly 23.4 degrees on its axis, and that leaves you, of course, the occultic number, again, 66.6 degrees off. Well, Earth is supposedly orbiting around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour.
Hamper the ability to create new jobs.
Yeah, so that's why I'm asking you to stop and think. And what is the conservative solution to this?
Let me ask you, President Obama on November 14th said temperatures around the globe, or the temperature around the globe is increasing faster than was predicted even 10 years ago. Yet, an article in The Economist in March 2013, and I quote, said temperatures have not really risen over the last 10 years. A month earlier, the BBC News reported that since 1998, there has been an unexplained standstill in the heating of the Earth's atmosphere. This is largely correct, right? That temperatures have remained flat over the last 10, 15 years.
No, the rate of increase has been lower, and it's not unexplained. There's a natural Pacific decadal oscillation, and the Pacific tropical temperature has not warmed during that period, and that's affected the global temperature.
Let me ask just a final question. Mr. Bruin, Dr. Hanson, are you both familiar with a fellow named Patrick Moore?
Yes.
So he was the founder of Greenpeace, correct?
And disavowed by them 3 decades ago.
Well, he's disavowing them as well. He said that he left the group because he said the group became more interested in politics than science and had taken a sharp turn to the political left. But he made the statement, he said, "We do not know whether the present pause in temperature will remain for some time or whether it will go up or down at some time in the near future. What we do know with extreme certainty is that climate is always changing between pauses and that we are not capable with our limited knowledge of predicting which way it will go next." I live in Wisconsin. You know, there were I think 200-foot thick glaciers in Wisconsin. How do you explain the climate change before man ever had a carbon footprint? How do you explain that climate change?
The statement that you just made is blatantly false. How do
you explain climate change that occurred 10,000 years ago before man had a carbon footprint? How do you explain that?
Climate, there are variations in the Earth's orbital elements, the eccentricity of the Earth's orbit, the time in the season at which it's closest to the sun.
So those variations just end right now, so now it's all man-made?
No one has said it is all man-made.
Well,
there are
that
natural.
kind of the tack that most
However,
environmentalists take.
the man-made effect is now dominant, and we can measure that because we can measure the energy balance of the planet, and we see that there's more energy coming in and it is going out. So therefore, the planet is going to continue to get warmer. It doesn't mean each year is going to get warmer because there are natural fluctuations. But this decade is going to be warmer than the last one, and the following one will be still warmer.
I agree with Ms. Harbert. I think the science is far from settled. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Is NASA lying to us? What is happening? Antarctica is gaining ice? What? Global warming? How? Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into D-News today. I'm Trace. Commonly during these climate change, global warming conversations, people point at the horizon and shout, the polar ice caps are melting. But guess what? They're not. NASA says so. In fact, according to new research, Antarctica has gained so much ice, it's overbalanced for the ice that the continent has lost. From 1992 to 2001, the continent gained more ice than it lost to melting, 112 billion tons every year. So wait, if global warming is real, how come Antarctica's ice is thickening? Okay, so I apologize for the slightly clickbaity headline, but to be honest, whether or not scientists are lying to us that's a real question. But did anybody lie? No, internet buddies, they didn't. In fact, this ice research is consistent with other papers climatologists have released. In 2013, NASA's Earth Observatory announced Antarctic sea ice had set a new record. Another study said the same thing in 2012. There's more sea ice now than the 1981 to 2010 average levels. I know what you're thinking, because I thought the same thing. If the globe is warming, how can Antarctica be gaining ice? Okay, so don't believe the hype. Research still states unequivocally Antarctica is losing ice at a fantastic rate across most of the continent. Ice has increased in East Antarctica and the interior of West Antarctica. But other parts of Antarctica are still melting a lot. A lot. So let's be clear, gaining sea ice at this point is actually bad. Yeah, you heard me, it's bad. Well, there's this annual cycle of sea ice, melt and freeze, where the ice is at its lowest point in February and March and thickest in September and October. According to a new, not yet published paper from a NASA Goddard scientist brought to our attention by Discovery News writer Patrick J. Kiger, global warming and climate change are actually increasing sea ice. See, melting glaciers have been depositing fresh water into the Southern Ocean. And if you think back to 7th grade science, which freezes first, salt water or fresh water? Exactly, fresh water does. Salt water has a much lower freezing point. It can get colder before it will freeze. This paper's conclusion is the top layer of water surrounding Antarctica has been diluted by the massive freshwater melt from the ice shelves, and therefore it freezes more easily today than in previous decades. This accounts for the increase in sea ice. The 2012 study found a 1.5% increase in sea ice accumulation over the decade. And this isn't the only paper that reaches that conclusion. According to a 2012 paper in Nature, which also predicted this effect, it is happening even more quickly in the real world than it did in their models, which is even more troubling. In a few more years, the new author, James Hansen, said, this will of course be clearer because the sea ice will continue to expand. Even worse, however, is the overall ice trend is still more melty than it is freezy. It's melting and freezing, and then freezing. Plus, salt water underneath the freshwater dilution is still warming thanks to the overall climate trend. NASA scientists are quick to say that it is very difficult to accurately measure all of these things because of snow levels sitting atop the ice and the constantly changing landscape of such a large area as the continent of Antarctica. The big learning from this, though, is that even though the UN announced in 2013 a 0.27 millimeter per year sea level rise across the Earth and blamed it on increasing sea ice, there's obviously more here than meets the eye. NOAA says, yes, the seas are rising. The thing is, now we aren't 100% sure why, which is almost more scary if you think about it. Moving forward, scientists know that they have to learn more about what is causing sea level rise because it might not just be ice melt of Antarctica. The oceans have warmed about 0.1 Celsius over the last century, in the top 700 meters alone. And though that seems small, that's just an average. Something so small over something as large as the ocean could completely change the topography, weather, and expected behavior of the single largest entity on Earth. Whoa. So, climate people, who I assume have already left this video huffing and hawing, more sea ice doesn't mean no global warming, but in fact, more global warming. You're welcome. Sincerely, your friend Science. How are you all feeling about this, though? Tell me down in the comments, and check out DiscoveryNews.com's piece on this as well. And if you're concerned about what would happen if all the ice in the world would melt, Julia assuages your concerns over here. Or maybe she doesn't. You're going to have to watch the video and find out.
If all the ice in the Greenland ice sheet melts, global sea levels would rise by about 24 feet. If all of Antarctica melts, sea levels would rise by 200 feet. The entire eastern seaboard of the U.S. would be underwater and Florida would vanish.
Guys, TestTube now has a newsletter. You can get a weekly roundup of all of our most popular videos across all of our shows. Check it out at testtube.com/FWD. How are y'all feeling about this? Tell me down in the comments, and come back here every day for more D News. Thanks for watching.
The atmosphere and ocean have warmed. The amounts of snow and ice have diminished.
This summer, mid-July, the entire ice sheet was melting.
Global temperature record produced by Climatic Research Unit is absolutely correct, and of course it's vindicated by two other institutions in the United States.
Shalom, shalom. My name is Yeshaya Yisrael, giving honor and praise to the creator and the maker of heaven and earth. Okay, we're going to go over a aspect in Hebrew and attempt to gain some knowledge and understanding concerning this particular aspect. All right, let's go. The matter of Nasha and Nasa, Isaiah chapter 19, verse 13. The princes of Zoan are become fools. The princes of Noph are deceived. They have caused Egypt to go astray, that are the cornerstone of her tribes. Now, in the Hebrew, we read this. No'alu, Sarei Zoan, Nish'u, Sarei Noph, Hit'u et Mitzrayim, Penat Shebateha. So we want to go over something. When you read this particular part where it says what? The princes of Noph are deceived. In Hebrew, we see this here. Nish'u Sarei Noph. All right, now Noph in Hebrew is referred to that in Hebrew, but it's talking about the Egyptian city that's commonly understood as Memphis. All right, so we just want to point that out. But getting back into the Hebraic aspect, when you look at Nish'u, this is Nun, Shin, Aleph, and a Waw. All right, so this has already been conjugated. The root of this is the root word Nasha. All right, and it comes from just that word, Nasha, which means what? As we see here, deceived. So Nasha means to deceive. So we just want to point that out, and it will show why as we go along in this presentation. All right. Next we have the matter of Nasha and Nasa, 2 Kings chapter 18, verse 29. Thus saith the king, let not Hezekiah beguile you, for he will not be able to deliver you out of his hand. The Hebrew says the following. Ko amar hamelech al Yashi la kem kis kriyahu kilo yukal lahatzil et kem meyado. All right, so just wanted to point that out. What we're looking at, brothers and sisters, we see the word here, Yashi. All right, and it comes from its root word, Nasha. And the word Nasha, as stated, means what? To beguile or to deceive. So we just want to point that out for reasoning purposes. All right, Nasha, as we see here in the English, all right, aspect means what? To beguile or to deceive. It does not mean other aspects, as some may state. All right, so we want to point that out for reasoning purposes. Let's go on and show what we're talking about in a little bit more in depth. The matter of Nasha and Nasa, Deuteronomy chapter 3, verse 27. Get thee up into the top of Pisgah, and lift up thine eyes westward, and northward, and southward, and eastward, and behold with thine eyes, for thou shalt not go over this Jordan. The Hebrew says the following. Ale rosh ha-Pisgah, wa sa eneaka, yama wa zafona, wa temana, umiz aracha, ur ebe eneaka, kilo ta'abor et ha-Yarden hazeh. So what's being stated right here was sa. All right, and it means what? Lift up. Wasa, and lift up eneka, your eyes. Yama, westward. Wazafona, northward. Watemana, southward. Umizraka, and eastward. Ur-e, and see. Be'eneka, with your eyes. So we just want to point that out for reasoning purposes. This word right here, wasa, this thing that's not bow type, with the wa, with the shawa with it, simply means and. All right? Sa, lift up. It comes also from the root word na sa, not na sha. All right? And we could tell because the dog is on the left-hand side. Had that dot been on this side, on the right side, it would have been a sheen. This here we're looking at is a seen, or the S sound. Wasa, from the root word nasa. The word nasa means to lift, or to marry, or to carry. All right? Whereas nasha, all right, means to deceive or to beguile. So we want to point that out for reasoning purposes. All right, here we go on with the next aspect. The matter of Nasa, Deuteronomy chapter 10, verse 6. And it says this, and the children of Israel journeyed from Be'erot Bnei Ya'akwan to Mosera. There Aaron died, and there he was buried. And Eleazar, his son, ministered in the priest's office in his stead. Okay. Ubne Yisrael Nas'u. Mib Erot Bnei Ya'akwan. Mosera. Sham made Aharon. Wayikwaber Sham. Why Chahen El Azar Beno Taktaewa. Now this word that you see right here, Nas'u, it comes from its root word Na'sa, but it ends with an ayin. Therefore it is referred to in many cases as the Lamed Ayin, which some refer to also as a guttural. All right, now, Nun, Samek, and Ayin means what? Journey. Ubnei Yisrael, and the children of Israel, Nas'u, they journeyed. Mib Erot, right, from Be'erot, Bnei Ya'akwan, to Mosera. And Mosera, we want to point out, brothers and sisters, means punishment or chastisement. All right, this is going to be explained later on in future presentations. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. Because some people say, well, Aaron died in Mount Hor, or did he die in Mosera? But if you don't understand the linguistics of the people, all right, the word Mosera, as stated, means chastisement or punishment. So they named the land according to what they wanted to call it. So let's understand that for reason and purposes as they were in their journeys. Now, Ubne Yisrael Nas'u, and the children of Israel, they journeyed. This has already been conjugated. Now, when you look at words like Nasa in its root form right here, with the Nun, the Samek, and the Ayin, or if you see it with just the Sin and the Aleph, or if you see it with just the Yod, the Shin, and the Aleph, or if you see it with the Nun, Shin, Aleph, in this particular case, it has already been conjugated. When you have any verb in Hebrew that starts with the letter Nun, making the N sound, when you conjugate it, okay, in its future tense, you drop out the Nun. In order to get the command form, you drop out the pronoun that was in it to make the future tense. This has been explained on other occasions. So we just want to point that out. Here's the main point. There's a teaching that says that NASA, you know, the spacecraft people, are lying to people about the shape of the earth. And they want to go and say that, well, in Hebrew, Nasa means to deceive. But they don't go into the Hebrew linguistics and show you exactly what the word for deceive in Hebrew is. Not Nasa, it's actually Nasha. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. Now, bear with me, and we're going to look at this particular thing right here. This right here is from the Young's Analytical Concordance, Journey. Nasa, Nun, Samek, Ayin, to lift up, to remove, or to journey. All right, and it came to pass as they journeyed, and it shows you the different parts where that is in that particular regard. Now we're going to go in the same thing. Let's go to page 238 for those who may actually have this particular book, so we can sit there and see what we're talking about. Then it says here, to lead astray, as in to deceive, right? Na, Sha, Nun, Shin, Aleph. And then it gives you the several quotes in the scriptures where that word is used. So let's go into the next one, if we will, all right, for edification purposes. And brothers and sisters, I present this in due love and respect. Let's go on. It says on page 604 in this. This here, all right, says the word Nasa, spelt with a sin, to lift up, to bear, to carry away, all right? And it also means to marry, because the Hebrew root word nasiyah means a married woman. So we just want to point that out for reason and purposes. With that, I can be contacted at 908-587-4841. Shalom. Have a good day.
so I'm making a short video to show you guys that the word NASA in Hebrew means to deceive, right? The code is 5377. You see that? NASA, right? To lead astray, to delude, or to seduce, beguile, deceive, greatly, utterly. You see that? NASA means to deceive. And then you see right here, mentally, to deceive, to delude, to seduce, to deceive, beguile, right? If we go here and look it up, right, in the Strong Concordance, you see that? 5377, the code, NASA, right? To deceive greatly, beguile me, right? Now, let me just take you here real quick to Google Translate so we can see what this word sounds, so we can make sure that we this is the correct word. So we're gonna play it.
NASA.
What is that?
NASA.
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 Thank you. So NASA means to deceive. NASA. That's what they've been doing. They have been deceiving you this whole time, telling you, oh, the man landed on the moon, and these idiots run with the scriptures and say, oh, you see, the so-called white man landed on the moon. They never landed on the moon. They never landed on the moon. It's all deception. It's all deception. So I'm just making this short video to show y'all that NASA, and you can see the little serpent tongue right here, right? You see that? The little serpent tongue for NASA. All you gotta do is put a little snake right there. It means to deceive. Deceive. Right? As I showed y'all here, the word NASA. The word NASA. Right? Deceive. Greatly. Beguile. I showed y'all here. Right? Same thing. In the Strong Concordance, right? So we can get the true understanding. And then we went to Google to hear how it sounds and make sure we were correct. What'd you say?
NASA.
What'd you say?
NASA.
Ah, okay. Thank you. That's all, folks. I'll be back.
I was gonna say, like, why not CNN but who cares? White Truth Right is about a future movie or something coming out, or
no?
Okay.
It's not about any movie. It's not about the movies I've made in the past. It's a confession of sorts.
Okay. I mean, about you cheated on your wife, you plagiarized.
I would never do that. No.
Plagiarized something.
It's about a movie I made that nobody is aware of, even though they've seen it.
Okay.
Is that intriguing? Do I have you intrigued?
Well, I mean, see if I understand what you said. It's about a movie you made, no one knows you made. Is that what you said?
That's right. It's a production.
Like, some of you put, like, you didn't put your name on it? Like, at the end, you put, like, a fake name?
Oh, no. I made it.
Like Alan Smithy, like that
That's
sort of
right.
thing?
No, I didn't. There was no name put on it.
Why? Why would there be no credits? What do you mean?
Because there are some things that you just can't put your name on.
Okay.
I perpetrated a huge fraud, which I am now about to detail.
Okay.
Involving the United States government and NASA.
All right.
And NASA.
All right.
And I'm sure you've heard the rumors.
The moon landing hoax?
That's right. That the moon landing was fake. The moon landings all were fake. And I was the person who filmed it.
You're serious, and okay.
I'm serious. I'm dead serious.
Because I only have this certain amount of time with you, and I'll talk about whatever you want. You know, this isn't some type of joke or
No, it's not
film
joke.
within a film thing.
It's not a joke. Nope.
Okay.
The conspiracy theorists were right on this occasion.
Why?
I don't know about Paul McCartney's death, but this they were right about.
Okay. Why in God's name would I don't know what to ask you first. Why the hell, if you're telling the truth, why would you do it? Why are you telling me? I mean, what the?
Don't you think it's important for people to know the truth?
Yeah, I got. Yes, certainly.
They had a massive fraud, an unparalleled fraud perpetrated against them. They should know.
Okay.
I mean, they're already suspicious of the government. They may as well have their suspicions confirmed.
Okay.
And justified.
And this, why now? I mean, we're almost at the 30-year anniversary. What took so long? Why, if this is true, why?
I won't go into that. It has to do with personal.
Okay.
Evolution and influences.
And, well,
I'll go into that.
Is that why you look a little haggard right now? Because you look a little worn. No offense. Like.
Well, also, yeah, because I haven't been taking care of myself too well. I've been drinking a lot, but.
Is that because of the stress of this?
Of course, stress, guilt, just conflict of all kinds.
Wow, I mean, so you feel bad about this, clearly. I mean, this is not...
I do feel bad about it. I also feel proud of it. It's a terrible conflict.
Because you've pulled off one of the greatest hoaxes ever because of your...
And because I made a film, if you want to call it a film, which I consider to be my masterpiece.
And you can't take credit or even talk about it
Well,
you are now.
I'm hereby taking credit.
Right, but you can't actually go out. You're doing when people see this,
no
you'll be dead.
Until 10 years.
Right, or
15
15, yeah.
After my death.
So you can't talk to Roger Ebert about it. You know, does that frustrate you?
I have to pay the consequences for the decision that I made many years ago to go along with this.
Like a deal with the devil.
It's Faustian, to be sure.
Because, and is that why you got such power in Hollywood? I mean, that would explain that.
Why I have the freedom I have, that was part of it, yes.
I'm very grateful for the chemtrails here. It gives me an opportunity to show you guys this. The sun and the moon are actually equal in size. They do the same thing, the same pattern, and they follow each other. They are divided by the ether. There's something that is, well, keeping control of them in the sense of distance away from each other. That ether is responsible for the season changes of the sun and the moon towards each other. And, well, basically they make us believe the sun is like magically 93 million miles away. And, well, the moon, we were up there, so it's quite closer, way closer than the sun, is what the heliocentric model or theory is showing us. Well, I have a little problem with this, because they clearly the sun isn't 93 million miles away because it's the same size of the moon. If you observe the moon daily, and the phases of the moon and how big she can be in, you know, certain moments when she is, well, arriving and coming over you. I've seen the moon hugely big, just straight on top of me, coming over me like, wow. Didn't have a camera, was not able to show you people this, what I seen, but I seen multiple things going on with the sun and the moon. And now I'm making a figure of the sun. Look, just look. Look how she looks. She's actually same size as the moon. That thing is not 93 million miles away, and we were not ever on the moon, by the way. They claim the sun is 93 million miles away, but it looks the same size, and it is actually the fucking same size. And we were not there, but we were on the moon. Bollocks, we were never on the moon. Space travel is a fucking hoax, an illusion, and they're playing with us, okay? A real flat earther knows, because he has been investigating the matter very, very deeply, and not taking this bullshit no more. NASA, you have some explaining to do, you treasonous, lying, deceiving entity. Bye. It's early morning. I'm making this movie outside to show you not only that the moon is reaching its point that it will go black in a few days again, and the black moon will be visible, not the lightened moon. But I also want to make you people be aware. Hey, just listen, just I don't know if you can hear that, but there's birds around like making all those nice noises, and a rooster up there waking up the chickens. I just love it. But hey, have a vision on our little moon and the black moon, and then we go to about this location, and we see in the distance, if I can get a little bit focus, that the sun is rising up there, meaning it's now actually in autumn season, that the sun and the moon, well, sun rises or comes, better said, into the east and goes down into the west. That's what you have into autumn. Yeah. That over there is the east. Now, the moon, as I've been showing you people, is going in the opposite direction. And, well, sorry for the little defocus there. But it's actually moving now in a position that in a few hours it will not be visible anymore, and it will move out of sight. Or I will use the words as we know it. Well, sets. Moonrise, moonset. Sunrise, sunset. But actually it's wrong. It's, well, arriving of the sun and moving out of sight of the sun. Same thing with the moon. Arriving into sight, going away out of sight. With the moon it is a little bit different because, well, yeah, we know that the moon gives light when we see the enlightened piece of the moon. But once it's totally black, that thing, you know, fulfills itself, well, about every 15 days or something, give and take. The Quran is very good at, well, keeping that in track, because they will always, how they call it again, I have to come back on that, but I will don't, it's early morning, I haven't slept yet, so I'm a bit tired. Give me a break. The Muslims, they start on their day of fasten, or how you call it. We say in Dutch or Flemish, fasten. In Christian language, that's also know of, well, depriving yourself of food and water for a period of time, and they take it very seriously. They do, which I can only, well, support. I'm not a Muslim, but I have Muslim friends, and you know, as long as they respect me, I respect everybody back. I'm not a bad person. Most of us aren't. Most of them are not either. Actually, most of them are pretty good. But yeah, that's another story. I don't like ISIS playing, and I don't like the origin of ISIS, what is in my book, Israel, okay? But the thing is, it's time to wake up from the deception. We live on a flat plane, yeah? And I just want to take this little moment to, well, make you people aware that you should start watching the sky more often and try to get an understanding of the situation. Oh, by the way, what the Muslims do, or Ramadan, just came into my head. Woohoo. Okay, well, I'm gonna cut it short now. Peace with you all, and talk to you soon. Cheerio. Well, there it is again, in another view. Oh yeah, with a nice voice, vocal sound there of well, vocal, nice engine sound of a whining chopper. I love that. As long as it make a lot of noise, I like it. Well, anyhow, that's the canal running down there with a ship coming up. Notice the water in the back is going like, well, any places because of the propulsion of the ship, but forwards of the ship, you know, if you look at it, where it's going, it's absolutely still because the ship is approaching that. Oh, come on, focus, not now. Damn. Well, the ship is going unfocused again. Come on. Let me adjust the light, maybe. Maybe. Just one more time. Just enjoy that. That water is laying almost still because it's a little bit moving because of a little bit of a breeze of a wind. But that's it. For the rest, it's always finding its level again. But look behind the ship. And just also in front of the ship where the water is being pushed off by the bow. That's just, yeah, well, plain and simple. We are stationary. Take it or leave it. Do it what you want with it, but that's what it is. And Jesus, I'm getting cold. I'm nervous because I don't like making these movies. But hey, if not everybody's gonna check it with their own eyes, well, somebody has got to do it. So somebody is me, huh? Let me be that dickhead then, that is stubborn and saying as it is, huh? Namaste. Peace. Love be with you. Out.
friend of mine once told me to do a search online. Search for photos of Earth, he said. This shit will blow your mind. So I opened up the Google and I looked for photos of Earth. Well, a lot of photos came up. He said, click on the first. He said, that's the famous blue marble that everybody's seen. We've seen this photo 1,000 times upon our TV screen. But let me tell you something about that famous shot. It's not a photo at all, man. It was made in Photoshop. Cause there ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? He was goddamn right. That shit did blow my mind. Cause I thought the blue marble was a photo all this time. Well, don't you think that's strange? He said suspiciously. Now, the fact that it ain't a photo seems pretty weird to me. I mean, the most important photo that man could ever take? This huge, iconic image turns out to be a fake? Well, I couldn't quite believe it, man. I was pretty shocked. I needed further proof that this photo's photoshopped. He said, look up Robert Simon. He made that cartoon ball. He's the guy you should research. He works for NASA and all. He openly admits that it's all just artistry. He said, and I quote, it's photoshopped, but it has to be. There ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? Yep, every photo of the Earth is artist trickery. All the photos on Google, man, are as fake can be. Download all the photos and put them side by side. Compare all the continents, they're each a different size. Compare all the colors, each globe a different shade. If all of these were photos, man, they should look the goddamn same. Where's the continuity? There's none, no, none at all. All that NASA gives us is a bunch of cartoon balls, cause there ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? Now we're supposed to have this telescope, right, that's flying past the stars, taking beautiful photos of Jupiter and Mars. Well, I've got a small suggestion, NASA. Here's something you could do. Point that thing at planet Earth and take a shot or two, because there should be goddamn thousands of photos of where we live. But Hubble ain't taken one. That's suspicious, don't you think? We got all these fancy pictures of spinning galaxies, but not one goddamn photo of the Earth for us to see. Cause there ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photographic proof of a clone, no none at all. Why the hell can't no one take a photo of this ball? There ain't no photographs, but somebody tell me why. They're all just Photoshop cartoons, they're all just CGI. No photograph